Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to another edition of Breaking News of this Wednesday, the 17th day of July, 2024. And literally, you can't make this stuff up. If someone turned in a Hollywood script on what's going on right now and said, "Would you like to see a movie based on this?" the reply would be, "This is ridiculous. Nothing like this can ever happen." Well, as we always say, truth is stranger than fiction. All right, let's get to the stories. Three headlines are going to get our attention. First, we have further updates on the shooter and his movement before he fired on President Trump. Second, this is really important, more information on the Iranian threats against Trump and how they fit into last days Bible prophecy, mainly with respect to Israel. And oh, yes, by the way, we just learned that Joe Biden has the Chinese Communist Party coronavirus now, COVID-19. He canceled his speaking engagement in Las Vegas today. All right, let's go through these stories. Again, hard to imagine. Update number one this is an update headline number one on the shooter and his movements before he started firing. We have a bunch of new stuff that's coming out. His parents called police the day of the shooting because he was missing. They didn't know where his whereabouts were. They were concerned about him, and so they reported him as missing. They didn't know again where he was at. At the time, the 20-year-old gunman was at the former president's rally. He went 3 hours. He arrived 3 hours before the opening. He started opening fire. A local TV station in the Butler, Pennsylvania area showed a video that a rally goer took before everything began, with Matthew Crooks wandering around by himself inside the venue in the background. Now, he sparked the suspicions of the Secret Service because he was carrying a rangefinder. Now, many of you know a rangefinder is what's used by hunters to take long shots, even though at the time he had no gun on him. Two more newly released images also show a bicycle owned by Crooks that was recovered close to the scene. In other words, he came on a bicycle, and a remote detonator, which was recovered from his dead body alongside a cell phone. Explosives were found in his car. Now, around 6:11, as we all know, he took up a position on the slanted roof and shot President Trump from a distance of about 165 yards, wounding him in the ear and killing retired police chief Mr. Comparatori. The fact that he was walking around and took up for a number of hours and using a rangefinder gives further evidence that he was looking for the best vantage point for where to shoot. He did not seem to have anything prearranged with anyone. Okay, this gives further evidence that what we have here is the gross incompetence of the Secret Service on that day, and not giving Trump their best agents. Both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were also doing events in Pennsylvania that day, and obviously they had the best security with them. So, all in all, contrary to what so many people are saying, there does not seem to be some type of conspiracy going on. It was just this one character who happened to come in early, 3 hours early, scoped it out, brought his rangefinder with him, and looked up, and lo and behold, there was an open spot on top of a roof about 160 yards away from where the president would be, and no one was watching it. He climbed up this air conditioning system on the back of the building, got into it, and that was it. All right. And I'm sure we'll have more stories, more things found out, but it gets weirder and weirder, doesn't it, by the day? Okay. Headline number two. The U.S. had intel on Iran's plot to kill Trump. They stepped up security, which was unrelated to the Saturday shooting. Now, we mentioned this yesterday, but we've got a lot more details that have come across with us now today. The White House stresses this was not connected to the Pennsylvania assassination attempt. It is the Iranian threats. Officials were reportedly concerned by a sharp rise in mentions of the ex-president by Iran's state media. The U.S. has received intelligence from a human source in recent weeks regarding an Iranian plan to assassinate former President Donald Trump. CNN reported on Tuesday, and the Secret Service was instructed to step up security around him due to the threat. Step up security, huh? Well, that's kind of a laugher, isn't it now? Anyway, there is no indication that Thomas Matthew Crooks, who tried to assassinate Trump at the rally in Pennsylvania on Saturday, was connected to the plot. Two U.S. officials told the Associated Press that the U.S. Secret Service and the Trump campaign were made aware of the Iranian threat. Get this, prompting a surge in resources and assets, which ultimately did not prevent Saturday's attack. Again, really? You could have fooled us. There was an uptick in resources and assets there. You've got now the local police saying we were only there to do traffic control. We had nothing to do with the security of Trump. When the Secret Service was, remember, they were saying, well, no, we had the inside, the perimeter, and outside was the local police had that, and so they can't get their story straight here. Anyway, National Security Council spokeswoman Adrienne Watson said there's been no ties identified between the gunman at the rally and any accomplice or co-conspirator, either foreign or domestic. Trump's campaign had been warned several times that it would be better off holding rallies indoors, as there are greater risks posed by hosting them out in the open, CNN stated. But until recently, these had just been general warnings. The agency has come under scrutiny in recent days after the gunman on Saturday's rally gained access to a roof unimpeded, no kidding, and fired directly at Trump, grazing his ear, killing a rallygoer, and critically wounding two other attendees. While law enforcement officials have long been concerned about the possibility of Iranian plans to harm the former president, recent intelligence indicated an increased threat, again, CNN reported, citing sources with knowledge on the matter. According to the sources, there have been a significant uptick in mentions of Trump across Iranian state media and online accounts, which raise concern among U.S. officials. The threat marks the latest development, what American officials have described as ongoing efforts by Iran to assassinate Trump, and some administration members of him, because they were behind the 2020 U.S. airstrike that killed the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Qasem Soleimani. Remember that. These threats from Iran desire to seek revenge for the killing of Qasem Soleimani. We consider this a national and homeland security matter of the highest priority, National Security Council spokesperson Adrienne Watson said on Tuesday. All right, there's a number of things you and I need to note here with respect to last day's Bible prophecy. First, Iran's main concern would not be revenge for Soleimani, but rather for the possibility that Donald Trump will regain the White House in November. This would cause all sorts of trouble for the Iranian regime, which has had it relatively easy with the Biden administration. In other words, any eventual attack on Israel from Iran, like on April 13th or 14th, with possible added fire from Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, as well as their assets in both Syria and Iraq, would be basically impossible after January 20th if Trump took office. They couldn't do it, what they've done during these last 4 years. Come January, if Trump is in the White House, any sort of attack would be met with overwhelming firepower from the U.S. If you recall the last time he threatened Iran with overwhelming firepower, and they, of course, backed off. This would seemingly cause Iran to have to wait another 4 years before it can mount an attack. So if they can't kill Trump before January, there seems then to be a race for time into what they can do to Israel with the weapons at hand. In other words, they have, while Biden's still in office, they've got to do what they can in the time that they have to do what they want to do with Israel. There is no indication that they have a nuclear bomb yet at the present time. So any regional war would have to happen sooner rather than later, because they don't want a regional war with Donald Trump in office. We saw that during the 4 years he was in the White House. They were scared to death of him, as was Russia and everybody else. Not so with Joe Biden. Okay, so if there is a regional war, like we have stressed, this would not be anything predicted in Scripture, and it would certainly not be the Ezekiel 38-39 scenario. In our book, 25 Signs, we're near the end, Appendix 5, we answer the question, what about Iran's April 13th to 14th attack upon Israel? Could that be the beginning of Ezekiel 38-39? Because a lot of people were saying this. And what we did on Appendix 5 in our book, 25 Signs, we're near the end, we gave 10 facts why it could not be, and why anything that Iran may do during the interim time, attacking Israel and even using the groups such as the Houthis, Hezbollah, the different groups in Iran and Iraq. Again, that would not be what the Bible said is going to happen, Ezekiel 38-39 invasion. Let me go real quickly with the 10 reasons why, the 10 facts why, and you can get them on our website, Educating Our World, under our book 25 Signs. We're near the end, under the heading of Bible Prophecy. And again, we have them listed there, Appendix 5, and we have a whole book on the subject too, the Ezekiel 38-39 invasion. All right. Here are the quick facts for you. Number one, the invasion will be led by a Russian leader with the title Gog. Ezekiel 38:1-2. Now the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog, the prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal, and prophesy against him. That's Ezekiel 38:1-2 from the New King James Version. In our book, the Ezekiel 38-39 invasion, we have documented in Appendix 1 the meaning of the word Rosh here in Hebrew. The Hebrew word Rosh in Ezekiel 38-39, it refers to a place. It's a place name of modern-day Russia. We document that from about 13 different sources. Okay. Therefore, this word from the Lord comes to a Russian leader of the predicted coalition that will invade Israel, not an Iranian leader, first and foremost. Number two, his title is Gog. He is from the land of Magog. This Russian leader will arise and from what's now either Russia, Georgia, Eastern Turkey, Armenia, or Azerbaijan. He is not from Iran. So he's in that geographical area where basically Russia and Turkey and Iran all meet together. All right. Gog is his title. The Russian leader will have evil thoughts of invading Israel. Now, that's Ezekiel 38:10-12, and it talks about this evil thought will come into your mind when you invade this people dwelling in unwalled villages. In other words, the idea to invade Israel will come from him and him alone. This is something that he gets this thought, according to Ezekiel 38:10-12. Fact, the leader, number four, the leader will be power enough to lead a coalition of other countries in the region. This assumes Russia is a leading nation at that time in that part of the world, as well as being powerful enough to put a coalition of nations together. And voila, that's exactly what we see now. This is certainly not true of Iran. Fact number five, the invasion will catch Israel by surprise. They won't be expecting it coming from Russia. The people in Israel at this time will be living confidently. Ezekiel 38:8 from the translation, the First Testament, has an interesting take on it. It says, but they have been taken out from the peoples, and they will be living in confidence. Ezekiel 38:8. In other words, the people of Israel will be living confidently. They won't expect some type of attack from Russia because they assume Russia is their friend at that time. And so now that certainly wouldn't be true of Iran. They wouldn't be living in confidence if Iran was building up, as we see right now with Hezbollah in Lebanon, with these other surrogates that they have. Fact number six, and this is really important, it'll be a ground invasion of Israel. Ezekiel 38:15-16. It says, you will come from your homeland in the distant north with your vast cavalry and your mighty army. You will attack my people, covering their land like a cloud. Covering the land like a cloud. In other words, if you're looking from above, you couldn't even see the ground. There's so many sufficient troops coming there. All right, fact number seven, and this one kind of rules out Iran. The Russian leader will personally lead the charge. The Russian leader Gog, the prince of Rosh, will personally lead the charge, and he will die in the invasion. Ezekiel 39:11. It's hard to see the Ayatollah leading the charge, isn't it? All right, fact number eight, the invading armies will include soldiers from Iran and Turkey. And this is why Iran cannot be the leading group, because the soldiers from Iran and Turkey, according to Ezekiel 38:5-6, are part of the coalition put together by Gog. They're not the leaders of the coalition. And again, we see this here in Ezekiel 38:5-6. Persia is Iran, while Beth Togarmah and Gomer is modern-day Turkey. And they're mentioned there in Ezekiel 38. Persia will be part of the coalition, but it won't be leading the charge. And so it can't be a regional war started by Iran. Put modern-day Libya, fact number 9, as part of the invading force, according to Ezekiel 38:5. It may even include Morocco and Algeria, by the way, this geographical area. As of this time, as we're talking right now, Libya is not able to field an army in their divided country. There's no way they could be part of this coalition right now because they're divided from two parts, east and west. And finally, the main assault will come from the far north, we're told. Ezekiel 38:15-16. It's the geographical direction is emphasized that this invasion will come from the uttermost parts of the north. Iran is to the west of Israel. Russia is to the north. So to sum up these 10 facts, and again, I went through them fast, but they're all there on the website, a free download from Educating Our World. 25 signs were near the end, Appendix 5. You can see them there, print them out, look at them to your heart's desire. These 10 points make it impossible for Iran to be leading the charge. So any type of skirmish that comes from Iran leading it in this day and age would not be fulfilling what God predicted in Ezekiel 38:39. It's that simple. So we could see a regional war, and if we do, it would set the stage for a later invasion led by Russia after the dust clears. We must wait and see. So we'll see what happens. Remember, there's a ticking time bomb going on. That's the time Joe Biden will still be in office, and that's going to be till probably January. Iran is not counting on him winning the election, although he may. We're not saying he can't. In fact, we are concerned that there's something may happen. But the point is, Iran, realizing the time is short, will do what they can. And we have this chatter going on about taking out Donald Trump, because if Trump wasn't the candidate, then Joe Biden would have another 4 years and they could do what they wish. If Donald Trump wins the election and takes over in January, then forget it. all bets are off. All right, so never a dull moment. Now, there's other things going on too. We want to talk to you about tomorrow morning that are also ominous, but we'll have to get to them then. So again, tonight we've got J.D. Vance speaking at the Republican convention. Like we said, excellent credentials. He's a lover of the country, loves Israel, very supportive of that. He's the type of guy we'd like to see with Donald Trump in the White House. All right, until then, I'm Don Stewart. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, may the Lord richly, richly bless.